So, who am I here with?
Your brother, Councilman Basheer Jones, Cleveland City Councilman here in the historic Ward 7, Huff, St. Clair Superior, Wade Park, 55th between Prospect and basically St. Clair, Payne Avenue, Asia Town, Superior from Ansel all the way down to 12th and Superior, Chester, 101st and Chester, all the way down to 30th and Chester. The hottest area in the city, man. Ain't no place hotter than Ward 7.
I hear that. Okay, so as we're jumping into it, I just want to know, how do you feel today? Just in spirit.
That's a beautiful question. Beautiful. I got my baby boy with me today. He's me. He really is me. You know, tough guy. Just tough and sensitive at the same time. And he reminds me of myself, man. So I'm happy to have him, and I'm just happy to have him present with me today.
That's very nice. Well, speaking of your son, you are a father. You are a father of how many?
Three babies.
3 babies.
11, 8, and 3.
Wow.
So, yeah, man, it's truly an honor. I was just telling my son yesterday, like, there's no better position than being a father. Like, that's the greatest position I have, and I'm like, you know, every day I just hope to do that better and better. Seriously.
That's amazing. Coming from your background, I know you are originally from, is it Brooklyn, New York?
Yeah, Brooklyn.
Okay, so you're from Brooklyn, New York.
Yeah.
Your family, you moved to Cleveland at what age?
I was about 8 years old. All my family, basically, my blood family is in New York, but all my spiritual family, majority of them, they all around the world. But I always say that Cleveland is my heart, New York is my soul. You know, that's the place that my spirit is New York, but my heart is Cleveland, man. I've been here long enough to be a Clevelander.
I hear that. That's amazing. Okay. Well, speaking of your children, your oldest son is
daughter.
Your oldest daughter.
She's 11.
She's 11 years old.
Yeah.
What is something that, I'm sure looking at your daughter, you see your younger self. What's something that you tell your daughter now that you wish someone would have told you at age 11?
Well, first, man, she's the most beautiful human being that I've ever met. Besides my mother, who passed away 9 years ago from breast cancer. Actually, when you walk outside, her picture is on the wall because we have a food pantry in her name. But my daughter, her name is Asale, and her name means one who speaks the truth in Malawi. And she is just a phenomenal person. She's just empathetic. She loves people. I had to ask her the other day, what do you love most about Daddy? And she said, I love that you give back to the community. And that touched me. So I think the things that I give to her is what my mother gave to me. And that is the importance of giving back, the importance of taking care of the people. And that's my greatest joy, besides being a father, is giving back to this community, giving back to the people that I love. And it's my joy. So I love for her to see that there is no success except that. Yes.
That's beautiful. Okay. Did your mother get you started on this path? How did you get here today? Yeah. The councilman of Cleveland, Ohio. I mean, but of course, there's many steps to get here, and this is only a stepping stone in itself for you. But you know, how does one get here?
Necessary. My grandparents was Black Panthers out of New York, Brooklyn, New York. My grandmother and my grandfather, they became Muslim in the late 70s, early 80s. I'm a third generation Muslim, and you know, so they always had this history of activism of giving back to the community, of fighting for what they believed in, willing to die for what they believed in. So that it was in my blood, it's in my spirit. But my mother, growing up from New York to Cleveland, poverty moved you around a lot. And my mother always made sure I was in two places, the library and the masjid, the mosque. She always made sure I was in a place of education and a place of spirituality. And she ensured it. So 3 places. She made a place I was in education, spirituality, and in the streets, in the community. You know what I'm saying? And all 3 of those things are all tied together, the mind, the body, and the spirit. Because you can't, it's interesting, you can't consider yourself religious or spiritual if there's no actualization of what you say you believe. So my mother would always have us in the community, giving back to the community, feeding the people, reading to the youngsters. Always, we always was doing that. And I don't remember a time we wasn't doing that, no matter what community we moved to. Because when I moved to Cleveland, we lived, we was homeless. We lived in a homeless shelter. We lived in the Salvation Army. So from there, we moved to Ward 7. But we also moved to Hayton. We also moved to shelters all across the city. You know what I mean? We lived in that type of environment. So I'm just sincerely blessed that, or at least I don't remember, being, abused in a way that so many people are when they get into that situation. So I've always had a history of giving back, always been in the community. And I got to a point some years back where it was like, speeches is not sufficient. Like we have to get into political position where you can truly transform. You can truly transform lives. You can write laws. You got a budget of, this amount of money. You got relationships with the police. The seat has so much power. And, you have some people who become in these political positions and they just forget where they come from. They become comfortable. Whereas me, I don't have intentions to be in this seat for a long time. You know what I mean? So I don't get comfortable. Like, my people got to eat right now. They got to benefit right now. And if you go down to City Hall, they'll call me Mr. Right Now, because it got to happen right now. It got to happen yesterday. Our people hurting right now. So that's my vibe.
I appreciate that. I've been, just doing some research on you. Obviously, I didn't want to do a bunch because it's a lot of things I just feel like I can only get from you as the person, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But you've been consistent. So I could see videos from you, footage from you years, 10 years ago, 9 years ago, and you are still speaking, the same message. Protecting women, uplifting women, bringing our people together, things like that. And I'm like, wow, 10 years, 9 years ago, this person is so young. Where does he get that from? Like, how do and I get it, I understand. I have a lot of, I come from a family of very strong women, and spirituality
you come from a strong family, yeah.
Yeah, and just my family as a whole, strong men and women, and that's always been embedded in me as well. So I can see that it starts with family.
For sure.
It starts at home. So your mother obviously was. She was the impact. She was the one who got you on this path and to trying to actually making a difference. Like, when did it click for you where you're like, okay, I'm going to get into politics. I'm going to make a difference on a different level, because that's that can be tricky. Everybody can't handle that.
I didn't think I could handle it either. I still have moments when, I don't think I can handle it. But you never know what you can handle till you get there, and so many people keep themselves from entering into a space because they're afraid of the unknown. And I'm not really afraid of the unknown. There's some things that I do have a fear of the unknown. But when it comes to this work, I don't fear that. So my mother, I didn't have a relationship with my father. I just built a relationship with my father as of recently. But we've been doing this work since, I'm 35 now. So since I was like 8 years old, my mother would have me in places, reading to kids, or, picking up the trash, or, just doing simple stuff, man. Like why you walk past that trash, boy? You know what I mean? And I'm like, well, I didn't do, so what, you didn't do it?
Right.
This your community, pick it up.
I know.
It was stuff like that, you know what I mean? And I'd be like, okay. Of course, I wasn't gonna say no, because she, you know how black mothers do.
Oh, right. You know better than that.
Even timeouts over here. So she always was putting that into me. And at 12 years old is when I really started like being in the community. That's when I started reciting poetry. I was always writing. I was a writer since I was about I remember writing my first poem around 6 years old. But then at 12 is when I started reciting. I started like performing my poetry at 12. And then so around Cleveland, I was known as like the poster child, a little cute kid. Look at him talking about homelessness and single parent households. Oh, that's so cute. But then when I got to start getting older and start getting into position of power, it's like, yo, I'm still saying the same things I've been saying.
It's like, oh.
But now it's like, yo, well, now you a threat. You considered a threat now, you know? So yeah, man, we've been doing this work for a long time, been very consistent, and it's like LeBron, man. He been playing basketball since he was a kid. We've been doing this work for the same amount of time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, and doing it at a high level. So it's blessings, man.
Born to do it.
For sure.
Well,
that was heavy.
Yeah, that's the truth right there, right?
Do it. Yeah.
Speaking of threat, I'll share with you something that's been bothering me lately. So I guess you would say, going through like a transition period in myself, where it's who are you as a person, and not just okay, what are you going to be, or what kind of job you're going to, I don't mean it like that, what kind of title you're going to, not that at all. I mean like on the inside, like what type of person you are, to the core, like what you were saying, your mother would have you pick up trash on the street, things like that, you know, that's your core. She was working on that. So I've been doing a lot of therapy work, right? Because I feel like that's necessary. I feel like where we come from, our ancestors have been through so much and endured so much that I still feel affected by that, right? So I feel myself feeling types of ways towards groups of people, and I don't want to feel that way, right? So I'm trying to break it down and understand it. I've been trying to understand more about the black family and how we are separated, things like that. I was blessed to grow up with both of my parents, you know what I mean? But I have friends, I have family members, people close to me that have not. How do you deal with racism as a person, or what advice can you give to the youth, or even someone like me who may struggle with those feelings?
Number one is to embrace it. That you are not feeling something that does not exist. It exists. It is real. You can touch it. You can feel it. You can see it. The impact that racism has had on this society. Okay? So first is to embrace that it's a real thing and you just not tripping.
Right.
When you was like, yo, that's kind of racist. Like, you probably right, Right. And the parent, if racism is the mother and father, then self-hatred is the baby. Self-hatred is the baby. So we hate ourselves because we've been hated so long. Right. Right? So there has been institutions that have been created to fulfill a racist agenda. You see it in hospitals. You see it in at work, schools. You see it at work. You see it in the White House. Yes. Okay? So you see these things, and people have died. I just came back from Mississippi, and they have these big posts with names of black men and women, white men and women who have been lynched as a result of racism. Mississippi was the state that lynched the most people.
Wow.
Georgia was number 2, right? You look at this post and you see, unknown black man. That's somebody's father, probably. Somebody's son. Somebody's uncle. He wasn't unknown to us.
Right.
But the lynching never stopped. The lynching happens today. It goes on today. Black men, black women, white men, who all are fighting for the humanity of this country are being lynched. Maybe it's not a physical lynching. Sometimes it is, but maybe it's a financial lynching.
Right.
Maybe it's a spiritual lynching.
Right.
Right. The lynching. Maybe there's a spiritual castration. Right. Maybe it ain't the physical cutting off of the genital, but maybe it's the spiritual cutting off of the pride of black men and brown men in this country. Right now here in Cleveland, they trying to hire back the police officer that killed Tamir Rice.
That's crazy.
Come on.
Why is that even on the table?
Because you have a police union who don't understand the community, right? And who don't understand the importance of how to bridge the gap. But see, James Allen, who's the author of As a Man Thinketh, he said, oppression is not just the fault of the oppressor, but it's also the fault of the oppressed. Now, what I take from that is, what are we doing? What are we doing? Are we speaking up and speaking out? Are we standing up for what we believe in? Or are we silent? Are we suffering in silence? Are we just complaining in the back rooms, or are we like, yo, are we running for office? Are we raising money for those, those who are in office? Are we voting? You know what I'm saying? Are we picking up the trash in our community, right? But self-hatred is the child of racism. It's the child. So you hate yourself. As I was doing a speech, and I told everybody, it was a Black History Month program, but it was a mixed audience. And I said, as black people, you have to learn to love yourself before you can be multicultural. You got to love you first.
That is the truth.
Right? So my white friend, he came up to me and said, no, you're right. I got to love myself. I said, no, not you. Not white people.
Sorry.
You got to love other people first before you love yourself.
Right.
And the reason why is because your whiteness is not demonized here in America, but blackness is demonized. So there's a cure in the opposite. It's a cure in the opposite. So this is the key. The key to our success is for us to truly understand that if we're going to be successful, we got to love ourselves. I was walking down the block, I was driving down the block the other day. A brother he didn't throw a Laffy Taffy packet. He threw a whole pizza box on the ground. I said, brother, I said, brother, don't worry about it. I'll pick it up, brother. I got it. He said, no, I got it. I said, no, I get it, brother. You don't love the community like I love it.
Right.
I got it, brother. No, I get it, brother. No, I got it. Okay, you gonna make sure you're gonna put it in the garbage, brother? I said, if we don't keep this clean, who gonna keep it clean?
Right.
If we don't love it, who gonna love it, brother? So what I find myself in this position is not just providing resources and writing checks or giving jobs. More importantly, changing the culture of how we feel about ourselves. So when you see me, you might see me in a suit, you might see me in a dashiki, you might see me in a shirt that say my ancestors is proud. You might see me wearing all these different type of things because I want to show my community that, number one, you can be whatever you want to be. You can wear what you want to wear. You can say what you want to say. But you ain't got to change to get in position. The true power is not the position. The true power is within you, little brother. It's within you, little sister. You just got to believe it. You got to believe it, man. And I believe it. I believe it.
Wow.
For sure.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
That's powerful. We need to hear that. We need to tell each other that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
We definitely do.
Straight up.
Wow.
Straight up.
Okay. Yeah. So, where do we go from here?
You doing it. You doing it. Sometimes we be looking at stuff from the macro and not the micro. So people be so focused on what's happening in China, they ain't focused on what's happening on St. Clair.
Right.
What's happening in Superior.